Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is that you are and wherever you may be. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. I am Brad Franklin, the creative content right here in Chesterfield. And I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. Now, it is we're coming up on September, which is National Suicide Prevention Month. And as part of the PR campaign that Mental Health Support Services and the Coalition do in advance of that and throughout the month of September, I've got a couple of guests on today to talk about what is some really important information, especially for those of us who have older adults in our lives, folks we care about, who might be sort of in a place where maybe society doesn't always maybe consider their mental health, and maybe they themselves don't even realize maybe what's going on. Before we get started, let me go around and introduce everybody. Today I've got Melissa Ackley, who is, let me get this title right now, the Chesterfield Mental Health Support Services Prevention Services Manager, and she's also the co-chair of the Chesterfield Suicide Awareness and Prevention Coalition. I've also got Alexa Van Aartrijk, who is the manager of the Office on Aging and Disability Resources. Ladies, welcome to the podcast. How are we doing?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Very glad to have you. Melissa, let's start with you. Obviously, the Coalition is a group that has been around for a while, certainly does a lot around mental health. Tell me a little bit more about the Coalition and who all is a part of it.
The Chesterfield Suicide Awareness and Prevention Coalition came together in 2016 with a mission of better coordinating resources and efforts around suicide prevention, intervention, and postvention. Mm-hmm. It includes people from a variety of backgrounds, including people who work for Chesterfield County government, people who work for Chesterfield County public schools, a variety of nonprofits focused on mental health, and people with lived experience with suicide and suicide loss.
Is there a certain sort of makeup of the coalition? Does it change over time, or has it just gotten larger as things have kind of gone on?
As the stigma around mental health and suicide have decreased, we've really expanded involvement.
That's great. Now, in terms of obviously National Suicide Prevention Month is why we're all here, and certainly is a cause that's near and dear to your hearts as well as the whole coalition. Now, some folks might not know is that one of the things the coalition does is put together this campaign every September. They work with our office in communications and media to try to put that together. So there's various different things that you might be hearing about throughout September related to suicide prevention that you probably won't hear about in various channels that the county puts out throughout the year. Can you tell me a little bit about the numbers and why the focus this year as part of the campaign is on older adults and those who love and care for them?
Yes. So our campaign theme this year is mental health is ageless.
Yeah.
What the CDC recently released statistics related to suicide for 2022. And in that data, it showed that people 85 and older had the highest rates of suicide, followed by people ages 75 to 84. Last year's data here in Virginia showed that people ages 75 to 84 had the highest rates of suicide, exceeding the national average. This is a population that we often don't focus on in our mental health awareness and suicide prevention efforts, yet they are at tremendous risk for mental health concerns and suicide.
And one of the things that I think is kind of consistent, and Lex, I'll go to you. I think if you think about, folks getting older, there's a lot less, I guess, that goes into sort of maybe their day-to-day life, right? They're no longer in the hustle and bustle of maybe kids in school. They're no longer in the hustle bustle of jobs because most of them are retired at that point. It is obviously important for folks to be aware, of the concerns and sort of the maybe potential health issues that might come up. From your, your experience, tell me about the benefit to older adults when it comes to staying active and why that's so important.
Thanks for the question. So transitions are a big risk factor for depression, sadness, risk of suicide, especially for seniors who are transitioning to those retirement years or maybe losing touch with friends or family as their children and children's children are getting older. So staying involved, staying active in the community, finding purpose wherever that is. It doesn't necessarily need to be a part-time job, doesn't need to be a full-time job. It can just be giving back to the community, meeting with other people in your neighborhood, anything like that gives you purpose is really important to your overall health and well-being. Yeah.
Now, I know when we talked several months back, one of the things we talked a lot about was sort of the activities that are kind of out there for folks who are older. And again, for this campaign, what we're really focusing on are folks who are older adults or the folks who, like myself, lots of people who are children of older adults, family of older adults, and maybe even friends of older adults, people who maybe you're starting to sense that somebody's is not quite as engaged in things as they used to be. What are some of the opportunities available to older adults in Chesterfield County in order to do that, to stay involved, to stay connected?
I think our Parks and Rec 55 plus department does a fantastic job at offering diverse resources and programs to seniors who have any interest background. I think finding a common hobby with a group of people is really important. You can't just throw seniors together and expect them all to be friends just because they're the same age. So finding a hobby that really interests you through the Parks and Rec department. They have agriculture classes. They have mahjong. They have active classes like yoga, things like that. Finding something that you enjoy first, and then the rest will follow. We also have volunteer opportunities with the county. We have an excellent volunteer coordinator, Kelly Booth, who, if you're interested in any opportunities, you can reach out to their office and they'll connect you with a volunteer opportunity. I love Hands-on RVA too. That's for our whole region. It's an online database. If you're comfortable using a website, finding a volunteer opportunity, but volunteering, Parks and Rec, the Council on Aging through Chesterfield is a great start too. Just meeting like-minded people, coming together for an educational opportunity, and finding volunteer opportunities through there.
Yeah, one of the things we did for this campaign is we shot some video down at one of the Rainbow Cafes, and what I found really interesting was just to see the folks. And just a natural sort of interaction and in talking to them, it certainly seems like those things are meaningful for them in a way that maybe for those of us who don't see them every day, or maybe we aren't in the sort of on the ground, we don't really see it. As somebody who has been there, I want to ask you both this question, but Lex, I'll start with you. What are some recommendations you have for those who may be concerned about themselves, their friends, or their loved ones?
The American Foundation on Suicide Prevention says talk saves lives. So starting the conversation, however hard that might be, if you know of someone who could be experiencing depression or sadness or thoughts of suicide, I think just starting the conversation, assume you're the only person that's going to reach out and ask them how they're doing. Yeah. And you never know what that conversation, and same thing, if you are experiencing those feelings, talking about it is so important. You have to assume that you are going to be the only one that's going to reach out. Yeah. And it's really tough at first. It's tough conversations, but you just have to be the first one to do it. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes being an advocate for yourself is the hardest part, right? Yeah. As opposed to just being an advocate for somebody else. Melissa, from the MHSS side of things, what recommendations do you want to share with folks who may be concerned either about themselves, their friends, or their loved ones?
Yeah, Alexa said it just right. Overall, we want people to approach mental health concerns just like they approach physical health concerns. So if you're concerned that your family member or someone you care about is having thoughts of suicide, is struggling with a mental health concern, start a conversation. Right. Say what you notice. Offer to help, connect to resources. And then particularly if you are seeing signs that they might be having thoughts of suicide, we want you to shift that conversation to a focus on suicide and safety. Yeah.
Now, in terms of the events around the county throughout the month, tell me about some of the things that are going on in Chesterfield throughout September.
So you can visit www.chesterfield.gov/prevent suicide to learn about all of the resources and also get access to the information related to this campaign. 2 signature events open to the public are AFSP's Talk Saves Lives, a brief introduction to suicide prevention for seniors. Those are for seniors themselves and for those that work with or care about seniors. We're having an in-person event on Sunday, September 10th at St. Mark's Church on Lex Lane, and a virtual event on September 25th, 2023. Okay. And we are also partnering with a variety of organizations to do talks specifically in those settings. We would welcome requests to come into other settings to do presentations. Cool. We've got videos, we've got print materials, and additional resources we're happy to share with the community.
Good deal. And then also, too, if folks want to talk to somebody, if they either for themselves or for somebody they love, what are the resources out there? Where should they go if they want to talk to somebody?
So in an emergency, if you're worried that someone is going to harm themselves or someone else, you want to call 988. And that's the National Suicide and Mental Health Crisis number, but it's going to ring right here in our region. Okay. And you're going to get a response tiered to the level of concern. So it might be a talk intervention. It might be mental health providers coming to your home. If there's a strong safety issue, it might be a co-response with police and mental health. So that's going to be your emergency number. There's also a variety of mental health providers here in our county, which you can access via, usually your insurance card is going to have a number to call related to mental health. if you have an EAP, often everyone in your household is covered, regardless of if they're on your insurance.
Okay.
And so if you have a parent perhaps living in your house, the EAP is a great resource for counseling.
Right.
And then, of course, Chesterfield Mental Health is our public mental health agency.
Good deal. I mean, I think a lot of folks probably don't even realize that 1 in 5 seniors suffer, I guess the CDC says at least that 1 in 5 seniors suffer from a mental health condition. So this information is obviously very important, especially for folks who are dealing with a lot of different things, especially at this part of their lives where everything gets a little bit harder. And like Alexa was talking about earlier, you start to kind of feel those groups and that context sort of start to go away a little bit. But I really want to thank you both for being on the podcast and talking to us a little bit about Suicide Prevention Month coming up in September. Melissa, Alexa, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for helping.
All right. Make sure you check us out on social media. On Twitter, it's at Chesterfield VA, and on Instagram, it's Chesterfield Virginia, all one word. And on Facebook, you can check out our podcast page. Just search Chesterfield Behind the Mic. Now, also make sure you follow or subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, or wherever it is that you get your shows. And if you'd like to leave us a rating or review, we greatly appreciate it. As always, a video version of the show is available on our YouTube channel, as well as on our website at chesterfield.gov/podcast. That's also where you can submit feedback anytime, make suggestions, or just reach out to us. You can also watch the show on WCCT Thursday through Sunday at 7, on the weekends at noon. That's Comcast Channel 98 and Verizon Channel 28. Lastly, you can check out chesterfield.gov/connect with us. We found a number of other ways to connect with Chesterfield County. My thanks to my director, Martin Stith, my executive producer, Teresa, Bonifas, and all the good folks from Constituent and Media Services for all they do. My thanks to you for joining us today. So, from all of us here in Chesterfield, thanks again for making us a part of your day. We'll see you again real soon. Take good care. From blogs to podcasts, and I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. Newsletters to alerts, social media, the latest community news.
Welcome to the latest installment of This Week in Chesterfield.
How to get in touch, and everything in between. If you want to know about Chesterfield County, our Connect With Us webpage has you covered. Chesterfield.gov/connect with us. Connect with us, your source for all things Chesterfield.